Good evening, fellow Floridians and everyone else around the world who's interested in keeping up with what's going on here in the great state of Florida. My name is Mike Levine, reporting to you from Glass House Media right here in beautiful downtown Mount Dora. The purpose of this video is we're comparing Governor Ron DeSantis' Secure Florida proposal to the Florida Legislature's Trump Act. We've been through a few provisions of this already. We're just really starting to get into the meat of it. And I've decided to take a look at the Trump Act in this particular video. We have 5 minutes to work with here. So I just want to highlight two programs that are included in the Trump Act. One is the Local Law Enforcement Federal Participation Program, and the other is the Local Law Enforcement Immigration Grant Program. The Local Law Enforcement Federal Participation Program compensates law enforcement officers for becoming certified in various different programs with federal immigration agencies. It's $1,000 per law enforcement officer to receive a certain certification from the federal immigration enforcement people. And then the next grant program that's included in the Trump Act is the Local Law Enforcement Immigration Grant Program, which provides a grant available to chief correctional officers who run the prisons and jails, running the correctional facilities, for providing beds to the federal government. And obviously, that's an expensive thing that has to be done. And certainly we know that the correctional facilities need to be compensated when the federal government utilizes Florida resources, for sure. And I just want to take this time right now to recognize how dangerous it is for our law enforcement officers who ultimately will be deputized by the Immigration and Customs Enforcement people, ICE, to assist and, I would assume, often perform the arrests that are required as we go through the state of Florida and arrest unlawful immigrants who are here illegally. And there's no amount of money that we can give to our law enforcement officers that covers the risk that they put themselves into in these jobs. It's just very extremely dangerous. And that's also the reason that it needs to be done. Having dangerous, illegal aliens in our state is very dangerous for law enforcement, but it's also dangerous for the citizens of our country. And that's the reason that President Trump wants to have these folks removed. It impacts our economy and it puts our citizenry in danger. And we must remove them. In my opinion, we must remove them from our states and from our nation. But the point is, after you realize the situation that we're in, then you have to take a look at the politics of the whole thing. And the Florida legislature just doesn't miss an opportunity to create more bureaucracy, layer after layer of funding. And as we continue to go through the Trump Act, you'll see that there are several new agencies that are created. The Department of Agriculture actually becomes a law enforcement agency. So in the event that the governor were to sign this into law, which of course he has said he will veto, but in the event that the Florida legislature overturns the veto, then the Secretary of Agriculture will become a law enforcement officer in the state of Florida. And the Secretary of Agriculture will have on his payroll in his office bona fide law enforcement professionals working within the Department of Agriculture. So this is an example of how the Florida legislature is just demonstrating what a bureaucratic nightmare the government actually is. And then when you take a look at the Secure Florida program offered by Governor DeSantis, He does it much more seamlessly, much more efficiently, doesn't create a lot of new agencies. The cost of implementing the program from the DeSantis proposal, Secure Florida, is about a third of what the Trump Act costs, according to the legislation. So, ladies and gentlemen, I just want you to consider that the Trump Act is much more of a bureaucratic expression of how to get the job done on deporting illegals from the state of Florida. And in my opinion, the Secure Florida Act is much more effective at actually deporting criminals and also costs the state of Florida a lot less money. So thank you very much again for listening to what I have to say. I really appreciate you taking the time. My name is Mike Levine. This is Glass House Media, reporting from Mount Dora, Florida. Thank you very much for tuning in. Bye-bye. Hello, hello, hello.